Hello everyone, my name is Jonathan Zigman, and I'm here to answer your questions about being a certified public accountant, also known as a CPA. What is the main responsibility of accountants? So accountants are really responsible for the financial record keeping and tax compliance of organizations. It's basically making sure that organizations are following all the rules and being good stewards with their financial resources and money, and making sure that they can operate really efficiently and effectively. Now, there are lots of different types of accountants that are out there. There are forensic accountants that investigate fraud or embezzlement within a company. There are tax accountants who specifically work with taxes and making sure that organizations are planning appropriately for filing their taxes and doing them on time. There's also auditors who make sure that a company's financial statements are done correctly and accurately. And so a lot of what accountants are responsible for are making sure that the US economy and financial markets are functioning effectively, because without those two things would fall apart pretty quickly. What are the most common financial mistakes businesses make, and how can we avoid them in our accounting practices? From my experience, a lot of the common mistakes that businesses make from a financial standpoint are thinking about resources as expenses or liabilities. For example, if you think of your employees as just payroll that you have to pay out and they're just an expense to you, you're going to lose a lot of insight about how important your employees are to your organization. So employees are really an asset. And if you are, underpaying them or not treating them well, eventually they're going to look for other jobs. And as a result, you're going to spend a lot of time and money having to recruit new employees, having to train them, have a lot of knowledge loss from the ones that left. So what really seems like an expense, they're really an asset to your company, and they're really very, very important from that standpoint. Another good example is software. You might think investing in new software sounds expensive or time-consuming or a pain, but as new software gets developed, it gets better and better, and it can help your organization be more efficient in the long run. So we have this expression in accounting that's like short-term pain for long-term gain. And, companies and organizations that don't recognize that they have to have short-term pain to get those long-term gains are going to be at a really big disadvantage. And it's our job as accountants to communicate that information to the stakeholders who can make those kinds of decisions, to express to them the importance of making these decisions and the long-term financial ramifications of investing in things like your people and your software. Our next question is it complicated being a CPA? It can be. Being a CPA involves solving really complex financial problems. It involves dealing with very large amounts of data and making sense of it and presenting it in a way that's useful to your employer, to your client, etc. But I will say the good thing about being a CPA, and everywhere that I've worked, I've had a really great team that's mentored me, trained me, supported me. And whenever you're a CPA and you're working on a really difficult engagement or project, or you're in a difficult situation for your employer, it's not going to be just you. There's always a really supportive team around you. There's always people who, have different experiences. We all review each other's work. So, the good thing is that while it can be complicated and, at times a little bit stressful, there's always a good team in place to work together to come up with the best possible solution based on the information that you have. Our next question is, how much do you have to invest into pursuing this career? So becoming a CPA typically does involve getting an undergraduate degree at least. And in a lot of states, you do have to get 150 college credit hours. So a lot of times that's an additional 30 credits. So that could be a master's degree or, just taking various courses to meet that requirement. A lot of the ongoing professional learning and development is paid for by your employer. So for example, my first job out of college, my employer paid for my CPA exam review course. They paid for all my license fees. They paid for all my training and all my education that I have to keep up with on an ongoing basis. And I've had, multiple employers since then, and all of them have invested in me by paying for my membership to the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, as well as paying for my ongoing continuing professional education requirements. So I will say that while the expense of going to college and potentially grad school can be a little bit daunting, the great thing about becoming a CPA and working for a larger firm or company is that once you're through college, you're done. All of the expenses to maintain that credential and be a member of the profession, they're often paid for or at the very least reimbursed by your employer. That's all the time we have for questions in this video, but please check out some of our other videos for more information about becoming a CPA. Thanks so much for watching.